Hello and welcome to the Stories of Northern Life from the Sault Ste. Marie Museum. For the past 2 years, September 30th marks the day for National Truth and Reconciliation. We also recognize Orange Shirt Day on September 30th. Both these days honor the children who never returned home and the survivors of residential schools, as well as their families and communities. Public commemoration of the tragic and painful history and ongoing impacts of residential schools is a vital component of the reconciliation process. This federal statutory holiday was created through the legislative amendments made by Parliament. So let's get into this. Orange Shirt Day is an Indigenous-led grassroots commemorative day intended to raise awareness of the individual, family, and community intergenerational impacts of residential schools, and to promote the concept of every child matters. The orange shirts is a symbol of the stripping away of culture, freedom, and self-esteem experienced by Indigenous children over generations. Commemorating the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation is a little different, but also the same. Across the country, hundreds of local activities are taking place that commemorate the history and legacy of residential schools. Here in the Sault or Bawading, we have several events such as the grand opening of Shingwak Kinaname Gaming, tours of the Shingwak Residential School, a drone show in Garden River, and celebration of Indigenous culture on October 1st at the Machine Shop. There are lots of mental health supports available. Former residential school students can call 1-866-925-4419 for emotional crisis referral services and information on other health services from the Government of Canada. Indigenous people across Canada can also go to the Hope for Wellness helpline 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for counseling and crisis intervention. You can call their toll-free helpline at 1-855-242-3310 or connect to their online chat. There were 140 federally run residential schools in Canada that operated between 1831 and 1998. The last schools closed less than 25 years ago. Survivors advocated for the recognition, reparations, and demanded accountability for the intergenerational impacts of harms caused. Their efforts culminated in the Indian Residential School Settlement Agreement, apologies by the government, the establishment of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the creation of the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission ran from 2008 to 2015 and provided those directly or indirectly affected by the legacy of the residential schools policy with an opportunity to share their stories and experiences. The Commission released its final report detailing 94 calls to action. The National Truth and Reconciliation is direct response to Call to Action 80, which called for a federal statutory day of commemoration. The National Center for Truth and Reconciliation has become the permanent archive for the statement, documents, and other materials of the commemoration gathered. Its library and collections, as well as its National Student Memorial Register, are the foundation for ongoing learning and research. I have included links in the podcast episode description on stuff happening here in the Sault, where I got most of the info from, and other material to look at. I hope you enjoyed this episode and learned a little more about truth and reconciliation. And thank you to Nicole, our collections assistant, for helping me put this podcast together. Thank you, Emigwetch.